Hi, folks. My name is Girish, Bali, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week. Today, we're going to talk about skincare. We don't talk about skincare that much, do we? And if we do, we don't know what questions to ask, the right questions to ask. And hopefully, I'll do my diligence of asking the right questions today. Most of the time, people they say, have water, your skin is good. Too much water is not good. Or is the sun there? Do I need sunlight? Do I need UV light? Do I need sunscreen? Those are the questions we ask, don't we? But today we have an expert on regarding skincare, and hopefully I'll ask the right questions. Her name is Aimee. Amazing person. I've talked to her for months and months and months, and finally I just roped her into my call, into my show. And hopefully she will do her diligence to answer as much as she can. And I'm telling you, she's very knowledgeable. So if you have a chance, do follow her on all social media, wherever she is, and we'll get into all the basics of that. But in the meantime, why don't we just talk to Aimee and see how she's doing? Aimee, thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Hi, thank you for having me. How are you?
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming here. So before we talk about skincare and anything else what we talk about, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
I thought about this one a lot. Back to basics is, I think it's about bringing simplicity, but the more and more I listen to your show, I listen to your podcast, it is really just bringing education and knowledge and communication down to the level that the listener can absorb and the listener can hear. And I just think that's really breaking it down in steps to make it consumable.
Yeah, thank you again, and thank you for supporting me on my show and my podcast. Uh, I try my best as much as I can to make it basic and and do my diligence on every topic that I do. So thank you, Aimee, for explaining that to everyone here. How complicated is skincare?
Very, very complicated. It's an individualistic. It's on an individual basis. It's not any skincare routine or any skincare advice that you can get is not always going to mirror over to the person next to you. So it's very complicated.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again. The thing is, so now the main question is, let me just ask you this: how much of too much water is water? I mean, you're supposed to drink every day, but that doesn't mean that you have like 10 gallons a day, can you? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So again, it comes down to the individual person. My best advice that I ever give anybody is to take your weight and divide it by two. So divide it in half and then divide that number by the number of ounces of the container that you use. So if you have, a 24-ounce container, then, divide that by 24 ounces, or if you use an 8-ounce container and divide it by 8 ounces, and then that will give you a rough estimate on the ideal amount of water that is going to help supplement you.
So, okay, so basically there is a science to it as to how much you're supposed to be taking inside your body then.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then if there's somebody who is, a 6 foot man and a 5 foot man are going to need different nutritional values as well, and that includes water consumption.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that. So, does that mean that if I take so much of sodium into my body, I need to dilute that so then my skin doesn't get dried up? What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Also, sodium is going to help. Sodium is going to make you retain water, and that's going to give you that puffiness, particularly in the under eye area or in the cheek area. So, maintaining good sodium balance, keeping it low, is helpful for a wide variety of reasons, but it will help reduce the puffiness in the skin.
Yeah, so that was my next question. So basically, the puffiness under the eyes is basically due to sodium, but then that is also lack of sleep and then lack of water inside, right?
It can, yes, and it's also genetic based as well. So the under eye puffiness, that's called perioral edema. That is just swelling on the under eye of the area of the face. And like I said, it can be genetic. So if that's something that your parents had or your grandparents had, you may carry on those characteristics and those features and pass that on to your children as well. And then, of course, your diet and your sleep and your hydration is going to impact those. I always like to tell everybody that a lot of skin conditions or ailments are genetically based, but lifestyle aggravated.
Yeah, thank you again for explaining that because there has been questions many, many times over the years that I've known for other people asking that same question. So, thank you again that clarifying that for me. Now, when we go to sunlight and when we, let's say, go to the beach or something like that, and there, or we go to the beach and there's hardly any sun, but does that mean that no sun means that there's no harm, or just any light in general is harm?
No, so if there's overcast, there's still UV that is going to reflect off of the sun regardless. That is just what happens. Um, and then there's also the bigger UV problem I think now, not bigger than the sun. I wouldn't go over that board, but is blue light, is the light that emits from our devices, and that also can break down collagen and elastin in the skin as well. And so now we're getting to the point where we're having these UV rays throughout the day from the sun, if you're an outside person, and then throughout the evening from your devices. So your skin's not really getting that break it needs to, you know, repair itself.
Yeah, thank you again for explaining that. So now let me ask you this, and it might be a tough question, I really don't know. But, during the winter and during the summer, obviously the skin reacts a little different. So, does that mean that we need more oil and more moisturizer into your skin during winter because it dries up, because we have too much of heat? And during the sun, obviously during the summer, I think we need too much of oil to hydrate the skin. So what are your thoughts on that part?
Yeah, so I 100% agree with that. Typically in the winter time, we spend more time indoors, and that's, in heated spaces, and that's dry heat. That is dehydrating the skin. And so in that environment, the skin just needs a little bit more protection. And so I would incorporate more oil-based products. I know it's a lot of people fear oils and we hear bad things about oils, but really our skin produces oil, so it's applying oil to the skin is it's second nature to the skin. So I do agree with that, of having more oil-based products in the winter time. If you do use an oil-based moisturizer and you are more dehydrated, I suggest dampening or wetting the skin with some type of actual filtered water hydration or some type of hydrosol mist, and then applying the oil-based moisturizer on top so it helps seal in that hydration. And then the same concept is in the summertime as well. There's more humidity in the air during the summertime. So although those oil-based products are great for you at nighttime, particularly to repair from the sun and going back and forth between air conditioning and sun, since you have such extreme weather changes, or extreme temperature changes, I should say, from going inside to outside. So making sure that you're reducing that transepidural water loss in the summertime as well.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. But let me ask you this. I think you were talking about oil and you said a lot of people were talking that it's good or bad. Can you just explain and elaborate if you don't mind? Because I want people to understand which oil and what oil are you talking about, which is good for you or bad for you, and what are the rumors out there?
Okay. Um, so I'm going to start off and say that I'm more on the holistic side. So I like products that are very natural from the earth and don't have a lot of derivatives that were made in a lab and that were, like I said, grown. So that's where I'll start off there. And so, like I said, with oil, it is second nature to the skin. The skin produces oil. So then using an oil on the skin is beneficial. Over time, there is through marketing tactics and etc. It's been very well established that people shouldn't use oils or go oil free using this oil free cleanser, this oil free foaming cleanser, whatever it may be, going oil free. So I get a lot of people that are opposed to using oils as a cleanser or using oil-based moisturizers because of that conditioning of what we've learned. You know, what we've, particularly in our culture, we learn through marketing as opposed to as opposed to people. You know, so there's that. Sorry, I got distracted. And then I have a guest. This is my dog. I am so
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay. That's okay.
Um, so yeah, so it's very common that people are really opposed to oils, and I just say you should be using, as long as you're using suitable oils for your skin, and that comes from trial and error. There's comedogenic oils that are higher up on the scale and higher in pH, and more likely to cause breakouts in the skin. For example, coconut oil. Coconut oil has been very well trending, and it's a mixed bag. For some people, it's fantastic. For other people, it's not that great. It's still a fabulous emollient and it has antibacterial properties, but it's just not 100% for everybody. So I like to stay with more neutral, safer oils such as sunflower seed oil or safflower seed oil or even sesame seed oil.
Is it because thank you again, but do you think it's due to the different demographic where people are coming from, the ethnic backgrounds? Do you think the skin is a little different? Because I'm pretty sure there are different behaviors when it comes to skin in different regions around the world. Do you think that's why coconut doesn't work on certain people?
It could be. It could be definitely genetic, or it could just be based on pore size. The molecular structure on coconut oil, um, it's a little bit more alkaline, so it's a little bit larger, and it's unable to be absorbed through everybody's pores.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that because I'm pretty sure people are asking that is it because of different ethnic group or backgrounds for certain people. So thank you again for explaining that. Now let's talk about the fun stuff if you don't mind. So tattoos on the skin, is it good for you or is it bad for you?
That's a preference. I mean, the skin. I think is so amazing. It's such an incredible organ. It's it's one of those organs that nobody's ever said, hey, like there's too many spots on my pancreas. Like, what can I do about this? But the skin, that's the first thing that everybody's like, I want to change this, I want to change this, that needs to be changed. And so I think if you're going to decorate your skin, decorate yourself with tattoos and stuff, it's not bad. I would say go to a reputable tattoo artist. Make sure that, of course, that they're following all sanitation and disinfection guidelines, making sure that there's not going to be cross contamination or bacteria or anything that will induce an infection in the skin. And then there's going to come with the home care after the tattoo, making sure that it's avoiding sun, that at that point in time, it's a wound. It's beautiful, right? But during its healing portion, it's a wound, and your skin, its first priority is to protect yourself from outside inhibitors. And so at that point, the barrier is broken on that. So taking very good care of that area is going to be detrimental.
Yeah, thank you again, Amy. And then the second part of the same question, we've been told that if we do tattoos, this is back in the days, I don't know about today, but um, that we're not able to give blood or donate blood or any donations. What are your thoughts on that part?
So from my understanding, that they still have that, but there's a time limit on that. It's not like once you get a tattoo, you can never donate blood again, or you can never donate plasma or whatever it is again. There's a time limit on that, and I believe don't I that's not my expertise. That would be more in a physician, but I believe it's to do to cross contamination, ensuring that there is no infection in the blood because during the tattooing process there is bleeding happening, and that is entering the dermis, which is lower than the upper layers of the skin, the ones that we see. That's why the tattoos are able to last for so long. So just being able to make sure that it's not going to infect anybody else in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so basically you're saying that if you get the tattoo on Tuesday, it doesn't mean go on Thursday and get it done. It
No.
has to be a healing process. Uh, I mean, it could be a couple of months or something like that till it gets healed properly, correct?
Yeah, I think it's around, and again, I can double check that and I'll send it to you if you want to be able to update it. But I believe it's 6 to 12 months before you're able to, depending on where you're trying to donate at.
No, that's good to know. I'm pretty sure people can start searching on their own, but I just wanted to ask for my knowledge. So thank you again for explaining that. Now, now, people, what are the common things that people they ask you when they have skin issues or when they have skincare issues or just any questions? What are the top three? Can you explain what they ask?
Yeah, so the top three would be acne. How do I reduce breakouts and blemishes? The next one would be rosacea, redness in the skin, broken capillaries is very common with rosacea. And then another one is just very dry, flaky, tight skin. And those are the three most common um, questions that come along my way. And then for those that have acne or those have blemishes or that are more breakout prone, first and foremost, I like to tell them like it's not your fault. Like your skin is a communicator. It's trying to tell you something. A lot of the times, acne in particular is an internal issue. It starts internally and then it shows on the face topically. There's lots of tips and tricks and stuff like that you can do for the topical layer. But when it comes down to truly healing acne, you have to put in the work. You have to do the habits and find out what your personal acne triggers are and how to avoid or lessen them if possible. Same thing with rosacea. Rosacea is typically genetic. Rosacea is a lot of redness or rootiness into the skin. There's actually 4 different types of rosacea. Um, but in particular, it's isolated to the face and to the nose. It can be exacerbated by lifestyle habits, extreme temperature changes, over exfoliating, or alcohol consumption, or like energy and caffeinated drink consumption can really trigger and increase the redness in the skin if you have rosacea. I encourage my clients who have rosacea, I encourage them to keep a notation or a journal of some sort of their dietary or other habits and try to see if they can figure out which one's their own triggers and how they can minimize them themselves. And then the last one, that dryness and that tightness, that one can come down a lot of times to products. It's using either too many products, too many steps in a skincare routine for your that are not good for yourself, or using simply the incorrect products. There's a lot of advertisements and marketing out there for exfoliation products, which is great. You should exfoliate, but over exfoliating can definitely lead to increased dryness and those dry, flaky patches in the skin. So just a
Yeah,
balance.
Amy, thank you again because you said you should listen to your skin, you should listen to your body, right? That's what you said. Now, let me just give you a short story very quickly. Many, many years ago, when I actually had blood pressure, and I take blood pressure pills, and I have allergies too. So what I did is I took uh, a, a company called Allegra, and I took Allegra with my blood pressure. Did not realize, but after a couple of months, because I was taking it almost every day because I have allergies, so my skin reacted really badly. So I went to the doctors, and he said, "Well, there's a reaction due to your blood pressure." So what I'm trying to say is that you should always listen to your body as to what's reacting. You will not get a reaction right away. It will be much, much later. So guys, today, as of today, I'm taking Claritin because that actually reacts well with my blood pressure. So my recommendation is to start talking to your doctor, start looking at your body, which is good for you, which is bad for you, and that's you to judge as to what you need to go move forward. So, Amy, that's my short story on that part. So, thank you again. So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, Amy, let me ask you this here. Um, when it comes to skincare, the most important thing is nutrition. So, during the summer, I usually take watermelon because that dehydrates me down because that's too much of water intake, and then plus fruit is also good for you. So what are your thoughts on that, and what do you recommend? What good foods or what bad foods that we should start avoiding?
The one thing that I would just say that to minimize that you possibly can is minimize any type of processed or over sugary foods. Sugar in particular, if it's that white granulated sugar, and it's disguised in all of our foods as many different names, but if it has like a COSE on it, OSECOSE on the end of it. It's probably sugar based. But sugar can break down the collagen and elastin in the skin, so it actually can, in high consumptions and high amounts, and it actually is contributing to premature aging. But all around, all throughout the year, summer or not, I encourage everybody to eat at least 5 colors a day. Get as much fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and balancing between carbs and proteins into your diet. Um, Eat until you're satisfied and not over full. Um, Excess has to go someplace, and the body is very great at eliminating its excess that it has any place, and whether it's that through the process of elimination, through our digestive system, or it's through the process of detoxifying and leaving our body through our skin. So just find that balance that is for you. And we all have different nutritional needs and balances, which can be a challenge for a family inside of a home if you have children at different ages, or if you have other people that are living with you and there's different conditions or concerns within the health. So notate those types of things. I encourage everybody to journal about it, or at least have an idea about it. Kind of like how you said with the medications, there are times where you're feeling sinusy and you'll just pop a Benadryl for whatever reason, or you'll that kind of deal, because you're trying to alleviate, right? You're trying to help yourself. But the long-term repercussion off of that, you forgot about that, and then you come out with a rash, or something else along those lines. You can't pinpoint it. You can't figure it out. What is it that led to this? So just being more conscious and mindful and aware of what we're consuming can help.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again. And one last thing, Amy, we we all tend to go to some salon and get our facials done, right? And as you know, and I know, the men usually don't go to salons to get their facial done for whatever reason. I really don't know what the reasons are, but we won't get into that reasons. But how important is it to go to a salon to, I guess, exercise your skin to make it more healthier?
Um, I think it's very important. I mean, not just because it's my profession, it's what I do, but just like anything else, like going to the gym, whether you do that at home, you could also do those types of skincare processes at home. I highly encourage people to do self massage a few times a week. That's one of the best benefits about seeing an esthetician and getting an aesthetic service is that relaxation, that de-stressing. It's somebody that's going to be able to help give you maybe a deeper exfoliation if your skin calls for it or needs it, or being able to ramp it up on hydration and give you some great ampules and nutrition for the skin. So I think it's pretty important. I definitely say go get your annual appointments in and see a dermatologist at minimum once a year, to look over everything, making sure that any marks on the body are supposed to be there, and that they're healthy. But seeing an esthetician and getting some massages and stuff like that, I think it's very beneficial. Just really just for like mind body connection. So try to go at least maybe once every 6 weeks, once every other month if you can, or if you can't swing that, whenever you can, to get a nice special treat.
Yeah, Amy, thank you again for answering all the questions. But one quick question and a fun question: cold water shower or hot or warm?
I would go with warm. So hot water, it can over dehydrate the skin.
And the reason why the warm?
Um, because that hot water, it's opening up the ostia of the pore very quickly, and our skin regulates all of our temperature. And so since it's becoming hot on the skin is saying, okay, let's get rid of, start sweating, right? It starts going through its processes to cool you down. So if the hot is coming in from the outside, it's igniting a whole nother skin process to you, and it's not really extra beneficial for the skin. So I would say go with tepid, warm water is the best way to go for cleansing yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Amy,
Oh, and
thank
get a
you.
shower filter. That's a big, huge flare up of skin concerns is the chlorine or other trace minerals, etc., in the water. So getting a shower or a bath filter, water filters, that could be very helpful for the skin.
Wow. Thank you so much, Amy. And before you leave today, can we explain who is Amy and what does Amy do? And then we can explain to everyone that they should contact you if there's any issues.
Okay. Well, Amy is a licensed esthetician. I've been an esthetician for over 10 years. I am also a licensed aesthetics instructor. I teach at an accredited school, so I teach to be estheticians. And I am also an in-house esthetician for a holistic skincare line called Bamboo Earth. So I'm kind of a Jill of all trades. I really love skin. I bounce around in different areas of skin. And so if you have any questions, bring them to me. Or if you have any really great input or new forms of education or great white papers and reports, send those my way too, because I'm a big old skin nerd and I love to learn.
Yeah, Amy, thank you again. And before you leave today, uh, first of all, thank you again for coming to Back to Basics. But any last words to all my listeners and my viewers? And how was your journey on Back to Basics on top of that?
Oh, it's been fantastic. You were so wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm like so geeked out that somebody wanted to talk to me about it, and I don't have to force skincare conversations on them. So I appreciate that. But no, it's been a wonderful journey, and I've had a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot from listening from your show. I really, really have. There's been several guests that you've had that are very eye-opening, that fit along in the same boat of the things that from my understanding from the health and wellness point, and I love learning more. So keep on doing it. You're killing it, man. You're doing great.
Amy, thank you again for coming here, and thank you again for supporting me on this small podcast that I have. And hopefully, you'll come again for part two for Skincare 2.0. And I don't know, I'll keep on knocking on your door to just ask any question.
Yeah, send them my way.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
So, guys, we spoke with Amy today, and we talked about the basics of skin, didn't we? And we talked that skin is really, really important to your body because that's the biggest organ in the body, isn't it? Now, as usual, as always, there's a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and hopefully Amy will like this quote. The quote is, "Beauty is what you feel about yourself, not what you see in the mirror." Now, keep in mind that beauty is not always good looking or bad looking. Beauty is all about skin, right? And if skin is healthy, you are healthy. And if you're healthy, then I think the mirror will be happy too, right? Now, as usual, as always, there is a last sentence of the evening. And here's the quote. Well, everything in life goes back to basics. And that's what we did today, guys. Guys, as usual, as always, please quote, please comment on all the stuff that I do because it does help me long run. Because day by day, week by week, I will be learning from you. And there are three things, according to this episode, according to me, it's a hit, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. Guys, take care. God bless. And I will see you next time on Back to Basics. Take care. God bless. Next week's episode on Back to Basics.
Do this thing. And that's where the entanglement pattern comes.
Hmm.
But if we can look at differing desires as a point of contact and learn how to negotiate wanting different things and being curious about one another and honoring ourselves, we can find solution and really recognize that on the highest level, we all want the same thing. The person who wants to save money ultimately wants comfort and safety and security, and the person who wants to travel also wants to feel the goodness of life. Like ultimately they want the same thing, even though it looks different to them.
Mm.